Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show. Today, we are taking a look at the final singular figure from the Marvel Knights Mindless One Build-A-Figure wave of Marvel Legends. We are going to be comparing the new Blade figure with an old Blade figure to see which one is better.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
As you are probably used to by now, my first round is about the paint and overall appearance of the figures. We have the Man-Thing Wave Blade on the side here, on the left side, and on the right side we have the current Marvel Knights Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave Blade. And looking at these two, there are a couple things that I need to really point out. This blade, the Man-Thing one, in my opinion, it has kind of a bit more going on. Namely, it has red sunglasses, so we get a pop of color there. It has these silver patches here on the shoulders, you can see. The sword has some nice detailing to it, although it is a sword that we had seen many times at this point. There's nice detailing on the belt. It has these cool kind of stakes on his leg and like a strap, as well as more stakes along his chest on a strap that is also holding his sword, where you see even more stakes, so kind of neat there. The jeans are blue, they're like a navy color, so there is some differentiation there, and he has these gloves on rather than just flesh hands or just flesh colored hands. So there is that to notice about that old blade. The new blade from the Mindless One Build-A-Figure wave, everything on it is very black. If you kind of pull the jacket aside, even though straps on the shoulders aren't painted, these are the same torsos. I do need to say that. But yeah, everything aside from his skin tone is black. The jacket does have some nice red paint on it there, so it does have that. The sword handle, there is the sheath here, which has some cool detailing on the sheath. You can kind of make it out there. But the sword handle, it's just like a red sword. It doesn't look as detailed as the Man-Thing Wave one. I do like that the head on this one kind of has the, you can see the painted tongue because his mouth is open like he's going to possibly bite somebody, since Blade is half vampire. So the question here is, which one do I think has the better paint application and kind of looks better? And this might be surprising, but I gotta say that I think our Man-Thing Wave Blade looks a little better. He's a little more dynamic. I feel like he's got a little more going on. While I have nothing against this one, and it is kind of what Blade looks like in my mind, I feel like this one, it just has some more detailing to it that I kind of dig. So round one, going to the Man-Thing Wave Blade. My second round is about the articulation of the figure, and both these figures, for the most part, have the same articulation. Their heads are on bull joints, which also kind of, go up and down, back and forth, so they have that. Of course, the torsos can spin, and the chest, you got ab crunch there. Both arms can go around a full 360, and I'm going to talk about the in and out movement in just a moment. But of course, they both have double jointed elbows. Their hands can rotate as well as swivel in and out. They do have leg articulation, so that both of their legs can kick out and kick sideways. Movement at the thigh, double jointed knee. Everything you'd come to expect. Boot cut, ankle tilt, and ankle pivot. So it is a little hard to distinguish which one might have better articulation. But there are two things I need to point out on these figures. First off, this blade is on the Paladin body, and for whatever reason, I didn't modify mine, but you can't quite get his legs to go fully back to stand up straight. He's going to end up kind of standing at a little bit of a forward-facing angle. He actually looks okay here, but sometimes this figure, if his legs are straight, ends up leaning forward a little bit. So that's a little annoying. This blade, however, our new blade, his arms, because of the way they're cut, so you can kind of see there's like the jacket sleeve here, and if I pull this back just a little bit, you can kind of see in there that it's molded very tight. So his arm movement, the outward movement, it goes to there. There's not a lot of outward movement on either one of his arms. So there's not a lot to go with on the arm movement. In terms of which I think is better articulated, like this blade, at least his arms can go out, that far. If you got a character who's kind of swinging a sword around, fighting vampires, fighting demons, I want some dynamic arm movement. So Because of that, although it might seem minor, I'm going to say that the Man-Thing Wave blade wins round 2 for my articulation. Continuing along to my third round, it's always about the accessories, and this blade from the Man-Thing Build-A-Figure Wave only came with 2 accessories. The first being this sword. So he does have this sword, which we've had on a number of figures. He can hold it with 2 hands if you turn the hands just right. And the only other accessory that this blade had was an extra head, which is very similar to the head that you see on the figure already. Instead of hair, though, it's more like the bald head, like this design shaved into it. So those are the only accessories. You get 2 heads and a sword. Looking at the blade from the Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave, you might notice a few things already. First off, for most of this review, he had fists, closed hands, and now he's clearly holding something. Yes, that's because this blade does come with a set of open hands to hold some weapons, as well as a set of fists, which you saw on him already. He's holding some of those weapons, one being the sword, which was in the sheath on his back before I took it out here for this part of the review. So there's that. He's also holding a stake in his hand, which you can see. But that's not all. This blade also comes with another one of these stakes. So there is this nice wooden stake that he comes with. It is pretty neat. They're both detailed the same way. But then he also has these 2 bladed weapon boomerang things. I remember he throws them in the movie. So he has a lot more accessories, a lot more weapons for his vampire hunting crusade. So because he comes with so much, this blade wins our accessory round. Round 4 is about the price and overall availability of these figures. The Man-Thing Build-A-Figure Wave blade became very hard to find, as most of the figures in that wave did. Currently online, he sells for around $30 to $35, but I'm not even seeing a lot of carded examples of them. I'm seeing mostly loose ones. The new blade is new. You can get him from online retailers at $25. I have seen that he's kind of been popping in and out of stock, so it might be something you want to watch, especially if you want him. I guarantee that his value is going to go up. So if you want to get him, you might want to get him now while it's probably going to be a little easier. So just because he's a little cheaper at the moment and easier to get, round 4 goes to our Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave blade figure. My last round is about the display compatibility of these figures. Now, like a lot of people my age, my first exposure to Blade was seeing him in Spider-Man the Animated Series, where he was hunting not only vampires, but Man-Spider, if I recall correctly. And then soon after that, there was a live-action movie with Wesley Snipes as Blade, and I loved those movies. Those are movies that my dad and I still like to watch together, and to me, Blade very much then became that trench coat wearing, cool sunglass wearing, like, badass type dude. And while I like this costume for being kind of like a modern iteration of Blade, this one is how Blade has always looked for me. In fact, for a long time, I had the Toy Biz live action Wesley Snipes Blade on my display shelf as my main Blade figure. He actually broke, if I recall. So eventually I replaced it with the Man-Thing one. But looking at these two now for my display, I will happily display our trench coat wearing Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave Blade over this one. I think it is simply just a better figure. So that wins out on my display compatibility round number 5. Well, there we go. That was a pretty close one, but the final score is 3-2 in favor of the new Marvel Knights Blade figure. He's the one who is going to be living on my shelf, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you have a better Blade, a preferred Blade figure that you have on your shelf? I would love to hear about it. Drop a like if you are so inclined, and before I wrap up, I have 2 more things to tell you about this Mindless One Build-A-Figure Wave. The next video that's going up will be me building the Build-A-Figure and giving a quick review of that. And then I'm going to take every figure from the wave, all 7 single-carded figures and the Build-A-Figure, so 8 in total, and I'm going to rank them from my favorite figure in the wave to my least favorite, or vice versa. I'll probably start with the low one. You get the point. So stick around for that. Until next time, I've been Dan. You've been pretty awesome, and I'll see you around.
Come geek